Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jerry Sansing. This is about October 27th on a Monday. I'm going to go ahead and film the show. I think I'll have enough seconds on the banner here to satisfy everybody. We need to have a proper lead in, and then I'll be right back. Okay, lights are on. I think it's recording okay as far as I can tell from here. I'm going to go take my seat and we'll have a few chats about some things, especially the recent upcoming elections. This is the 27th of October, which is a Monday. A week and a day from today will be November the 4th of 2014, which is the midterm elections and a lot of local elections around here. So I'd like to go ahead and address a few things if you would allow me to do so. And I do want to start by saying that I am not voicing my opinion or representing the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association. I'm not, as president, I'm not endorsing nor am I representing myself as being the chair of the Clean Economy Coalition. I don't speak for those people, they speak for themselves. I'm speaking as a private individual, and I am a professor of biology, microbiology, and so forth at Del Mar College, and I'm really going to address that from my point of view as a faculty member. I've been really rather concerned lately about the antics of some of the Del Mar College employees and their lack of compassion for their employees and so forth and so on. I'm speaking of the Board of Regents members and also the Del Mar College administration. Now, this is South Texas News and Reviews. We had a lottery a week or two ago, which means that we've got new times that we pick for our shows as the Public Access Users Group, Channel 10. It's a Public Access Channel 10, PAC 10, or POG 10, whichever way you want to look at it. So every 6 months we do have a lottery to pick our times for the next 6 months. Now, the time that we're going to have, or the times, is going to start on December the 7th, which is a Sunday. And what I was able to get was to maintain the 9 o'clock Monday evening show, okay, and that'll air on December the 8th, that Monday. And then I also got 9 o'clock on Tuesday, so that gives people a chance to tune in. Now, in addition to being on the public access channels, which is Grande and Time Warner here in town, the cable systems, then I also put these shows on YouTube. So if you want to see any of the current shows or the prior shows, then all you have to do is Google in Gerald, G-E-R-A-L-D, space Sansing, S-A-N-S-I-N-G, and then you can get the shows at South Texas News and Reviews. Okay. Now, also starting on December the 8th, okay, at 8:30 p.m., which will just precede this show, I'm going to do the What's Going On in Corpus Christi. Now, I do that as the president of the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association. Mr. Joe O'Brien, one of the founders of that and the mainstay of Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association for a number of years, did that show. Okay, and he had what's really happening in Corpus Christi, and since I can't use that, I'm going to use what's going on in Corpus Christi. And that's going to be at 8:30 on Monday, and then at 9 p.m. on Wednesday, and those are 30-minute shows. These South Texas News and Reviews are an hour long. Okay? Now, I've been working for Del Mar College for 25 years plus, and I can't believe I've been there that long since I retired essentially from industry and consulting, but I guess it's a reality. Okay? I didn't think I'd been here that long, and then when I had my birthday the other day, couldn't believe how many years it's been for that endeavor. But I guess I'm still making it, and I'm feeling pretty good, much to the dismay of many. And I think I'm going to hang around Del Mar College for another 10, 15, maybe 20 years, okay, until I do what I said I'd do at a board meeting several years ago when the forklift comes out of the Garcia Science Building with the pallet on the front and my dead body on the top. That's the day that I just retired, okay? And I'm having a ball over there, folks. I've got some real good students, and I enjoy my students. I know they have to grin and bear with me at times because I'm not the most delightful guy. I'm not over there to schmooze students. I'm not over there to make friends and influence people and so forth and so on. I just want my students to know that there are certain things that they need to do, and that is to be quiet in class and pay attention to me, and everything will be just fine. And I think the vast majority of my students feel that way. Some of them get a little bit bent out of shape when I try to impart upon them the real world and what it's going to be like when they get through their nursing program or their medical school, their graduate school, and so forth and so on. So I believe that, you know, I'm fairly sure at this stage of my life that I know what I'm doing and I know what the students need, and now whether they take that heed in that and agree to my terms when it comes to my classes. And then, you know, it's difficult for some of them, and even certain faculty members and so forth, you know, they say that I make them uncomfortable and fearful and all kinds of weird stuff like that. And that's not my intent, folks. I try to help everybody that I come in contact with, and I think I do have the best, or a reputation around Corpus Christi, Texas, Del Mar, and my friends and colleagues and so forth, that I'll help you do anything that is within my power. And but I'm not going to knuckle under. I'm not going to change my perspective of things, and I'm just going to continue doing what I know is best for the students, and not necessarily. I'm not in a popularity contest at Del Mar College, and sometimes I may do something, or people misconstrue what my purpose is, and they say, oh, well, you make me uncomfortable, and so forth. Well, folks, I don't have time to sit down and belabor the fact that maybe I do, okay? And if I do, then I've apologized to people. Whether they take that apology or not is up to them, okay? But I'm not going to back down from what I believe is the right thing to do. And, you know, if someone's offended by my attempts to help them out, then, you know, there's not a whole lot I can do about that. And it's like Ricky Nelson said when he went to Madison Square Garden to sing his old songs, and he got himself booed, and people were very disruptive to him and disrespectful. So he went home that evening, and then before sunrise, as the story goes, he had written a new hit song, which hit millions and millions of copies sold, and it was called Garden Party. But in that, part of his lyrics were, you know, you can't please everyone, so you've got to please yourself. So what pleases me beyond any belief is that, you know, I've got a bunch of real successful students. I see them in the hospitals and so forth and so on. And, you know, I do the best I can with what I've got, and if I can't please everyone, then at least I've pleased myself. So some of you out there that are listening and know who I'm talking about, both faculty members, students, politicians, and so forth, then, you know, I'm just sorry, folks, if you don't understand what I'm trying to do. And if I make you fearful and uncomfortable and so forth, then, you know, all I can do is apologize for that. If you want to sit down and talk to me about it, fine. If you don't, and you want to continue thinking that I'm this old curmudgeon, this old gray-headed toot that has no, you know, compassion for someone else, then I think you got it dead wrong. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead after that's being said, and I need to get that off my chest and inform some people as to the way I feel about it. Okay, so if you want to ignore me, if you want to blow me off, if you want to just you know, play like I've offended you deeply and so forth and so on, then all I can do, I've apologized to some before. If they accept that apology, fine. but I'm not going to belabor that and sit down on my knees and beg and forgiveness for things that I did not mean to do. You know, I mean, I'm very blunt. I'm about as subtle as a 90-mile-an-hour freight train, but I do have everybody's interest at heart. So I'll help anybody, anytime, in any way, and a lot of people realize that, I hope. At least they tell me they do. But like I say, I can't please everyone, so I have to please myself and help the most people that I can. And if some fall by the wayside with that, I apologize. I'm sorry for that. But I'm not going to lose any sleep over it necessarily. Okay, now I'm going to jump down Del Mar College's throat. I came here an unbelievably long time ago in the fall of 1989. So this is my 25th year teaching at Del Mar College. My background went to graduate school, obtained a master's degree, PhD, after a bachelor's degree with double majors all the way through chemistry, biochemistry, and biology/microbiology. And I went into a postdoc at one of the most fabulous research labs in the universe for antibiotics and microbial toxins. And then, since Richard Milhouse Nixon did not feel compelled to hire anybody into the government laboratories and so forth, then he turned that over to his buddies in industry. So I was essentially out of luck to stay there at that lab. It's a fantastic research lab. But I went into private industry in the pharmaceutical business predominantly. I was able to continue research with the microbial toxins with Purdue University, their vet school and School of Pathology, Toxicology, and so forth. Okay, so I've had a good time in life, folks. Now, when I came to Del Mar College, one of the reasons I did was the reputation of this college. Okay, and it was probably one of the top 10 or 20 in the nation in a lot of different fields. Nursing being one of those, music is another one, and several other fields. Okay, some of the vocational trades and so forth and so on. Air conditioning, welding, automotive, and diesel, and so forth and so on. So that had a lot to do, besides salt water in my veins, for me to come to Del Mar College. So since I have seen, and I'm just going to say this, the slide of Del Mar College over the last 10 or 15 years into what I consider to be a mediocre position in life, then that pains me deeply. And since I don't mind talking about things like that, I'm going to give you some idea and some inkling as to what has perturbed me and concerned me over the last 10 or 15 years. Okay? Now, we have a bond election coming up. This will air, like I say, on the 3rd. I hope that people have voted before this. Most people know where I stand with a lot of politicians and bond elections and so forth. But if you have not, I would surely appreciate and encourage you to go out on Tuesday, November the 4th, and that's the day after this thing airs. And I will also air at 6 o'clock on Tuesday the 4th. But please go vote, folks. I mean, don't sit around on your backsides as usual and just blow it off and say, well, I can't make a difference. My vote does not count. It's just the opposite. Your vote does care an awful, it means an awful lot, and it is necessary for you to get a break in life. Okay? Now, one of the things that's going on is Del Mar College decided that they needed a bond package. They knocked it down from $289 million to $157 million. Okay? And then it was on the 19th of October, a week or so ago, a little over a week ago, there was a forum article in the Caller Times written by Dr. Mark Escamilla, who's the president of Del Mar College. Okay? Now, what he's after and what he's proposing, I'll spit it out here, and I'm just going to read some of this, okay? It says, when I'm asked to explain the potential impact of Del Mar College's $157 million bond proposal, I point to the success of Del Mar graduates like Dr. Victor Trevino. Okay? Now I'm going to stop right there. Then in the mail I get this brochure that's it says Del Mar College needs your underlined vote to educate the professionals that keep our economy booming. Yeah, vote yes for Del Mar College bonds to provide cutting-edge education options that prepare the physicians, entrepreneurs, and artists. Del Mar College needs you. Yes on the Del Mar College bonds will add arts and sciences classroom capacity. It will update campus learning facilities that are more than 60 years old, improve technology to prepare today's students for tomorrow's careers. Vote for the Del Mar College bonds, support our economic growth. Okay? All right, Del Mar check works. Vote for the bonds November the 4th. Okay? And it says no tax increase for age 65 or older or those with disability exemptions. Well, I'm 65 or older, folks. I'll admit it right up front. Now, on the other side, it has Del Mar College graduates are the physicians, business owners, and artists of our community needs to thrive. Okay? Del Mar College has graduated more than 55,000 Coastal Bend students and educates more than half of all high school graduates in the college's district. Okay? Now, I'm not so sure, I'm not going to comment on that. And then it has a photograph, full face, of Dr. Victor Trevino. Now, Dr. Trevino was a student of mine years ago in my microbiology class. I don't remember if he took me for anatomy physiology or not at that time, but Dr. Victor Trevino was an excellent student at the Del Mar College level. Okay, he was a pre-med student all the way. He'd made up his mind. He had a young family, and he had the drive to go ahead and succeed at Del Mar. Went off and got an undergraduate degree, and then went to medical school, I think in San Antonio, up at the UT medical branch in San Antonio, Texas. And then he put in his residency, and he's now, I believe, a family practice physician here in the Coastal Bend, right around Corpus. Now, he is absolutely one of the best examples of what Del Mar College graduates can do. But here's the rub. I mean, I think the world of Victor. He knows that. I see him occasionally when he's over at Del Mar College. And, I don't socialize with Victor at all. But I do know him pretty well. And I'm very proud of the fact that he is a very, very accomplished and a very, very dedicated and a great physician now. Okay? But there are a lot of other people, and what bothers me, Victor, is that every time this is brought up, then I want to give you all the accolades in the world, pal, but there are a lot of other people who have worked their way through Del Mar College and succeeded, and why doesn't the administration go ahead and point to some of those folks? Okay? Now, one of them is Dr. Janelle Bennett. She's a PhD nurse. She was at Del Mar College teaching. She started at Del Mar College. She went through that program. She was a great success and obtained her PhD in nursing, and then went back to work as a faculty member at Del Mar College. Okay? Now, here's what happened in a nutshell. And this is all public information now. It's all out on the table. There were 3 students that were in her clinical class, and they were disgruntled because they had to work. Okay? Now, Dr. Bennett is a taskmaster, which means that she's going to hold your feet to the fire if you're in her class, because she knows the value of the education, and she knows what it takes to be a top-notch nurse, because she is one. Okay? Now, the 3 students went after her, and the administration of the nursing program decided that they didn't like, I guess, Dr. Bennett personally, so they qualified the students grousing about her and how terrible she was and how much of a taskmaster she was to ask the students to come into clinicals and be totally prepared for the day, because patients' lives depend on that, folks. Okay? Think about that when you go in and have a nurse that's taking care of you. You want to have somebody that knows what they're doing, do you not? If you don't, and you don't care, then, go ahead and email me at gsansing@gmail.com and let me know you really don't care what that physician, what that nurse is capable of doing to you. And if they slacked off during the whole time, then that's one thing, okay? But the bottom line was the school, the nursing faculty members that went after Dr. Bennett convinced our vice president of instruction / provost that he should go ahead and hire a friend of the president's, an attorney, Cynthia Cano, out of San Antonio, Texas, to come down and have these hearings and dismiss Dr. Bennett. Okay? Now, the whole thing, I sat through every minute of every day, the 6 days of those dismissal hearings. Now, before that, there was a nursing peer review committee that should have met, and then had the students go ahead and present their case. But then what happened was we found out that may not have been in place either with the Texas Board of Nursing or with Del Mar College. So then what happened was, after they dismissed her and the president signed her termination papers, then the lawsuit was still going, and I don't blame people if they go ahead and take Del Mar to task. It's happened more than once here lately. And as far as I can see, Del Mar College does not hold its employees accountable if they screw up over there and get Del Mar College sued. And then they have to pay massive amounts of money to rectify that and to get out of those lawsuits and mediate those, as it said. Okay, so Dr. Bennett and the attorney for her decided they'd go ahead and continue on, and then all of a sudden, this is public information, okay? There was a large check written to Dr. Bennett. It's in the records. It was on a list of checks that was presented during one of the board meetings a while back. They publish all the checks. That's by state law. And then I understand now that everybody is under the misimpression that she was terminated, but the official outcome of the mediations with Del Mar College is she resigned. Okay? But still, even the Foghorn today is preaching that she was terminated. And the Foghorn is the Del Mar College newspaper, and they ought to know better. They need to get their facts straight. So that's my view of Dr. Victor Trevino, who's one very fine individual, very fine man, family member, and a physician. And I'll go on with this. This is what Dr. Escamilla said. While supporting his family, including 4 children, Victor left his construction job to pursue his dream of studying medicine. After completing a solid Del Mar College foundation of courses in the sciences, he realized his dream and graduated from medical school. Today he's back in the Coastal Bend, saving lives at a regional hospital. Okay? Then it goes on and lists some of the reasons that we need to have this bond election. And they need $157 million. Now, a lot of that bond is going to go into the rectifying what is called deferred maintenance over the years. And I blame that on not only on the, not so much the Del Mar College administrators, but the Board of Regents members. Okay? Now that brings me to the fact that, and people say it's sour grapes on Ed Bennett's part, because of his wife having to go through that hassle. And then, her reputation was salvaged and so forth and so on. But why don't we introduce people like Dr. Bennett, and there's some other people that went to school at Del Mar College, got their start, and why is it the same person all the time? Now, Victor, I'm not picking on you, buddy, okay? I thought you were a stellar student. I think I even wrote a recommendation for you to go to medical school, and, I'm all for you. You are a very unique individual. But the administration over there has to realize there are more people than that need to be bragged upon, and one of which they tried to terminate. Well, they did terminate her, and then they reversed that termination, and now it's a resignation. Okay. Now, I'm a great proponent in having financial and fiscal accountability with my tax money. So I am thrilled to death that Dr. Bennett's husband, Mr. Ed Bennett, okay, got a master's degree in accounting and also is a CPA. He's been at it for 30 years with large corporations. He knows exactly what he's doing. Okay. Now what he's done is he looked up some information, went to a preview of information that I'd asked for under Public Information Act request, and we found some paperwork that was real strange and very suspicious, okay? To the tune of, let's write off bad debts of $185,000 to start with at Del Mar College. Now folks, if they write a debt off and they haven't done all their prudent business to find out and make sure that entity that owes Del Mar College money and go for that money, okay, and then and obtain that, get it back, then those write-offs are taking money out of your pocket as a taxpayer to the Del Mar College District. $185,000 just in one document, okay, and that one's not over. Then it was looked up and found out that Del Mar College in the state of Texas is the third highest taxing rate of any other community college. Right? That concerns me. Del Mar College, the top 30% in debt and per student, and it's climbing up. Now, if you go ahead and vote in the $157 million, it goes very, very high on the amount of student debt or debt per student at Del Mar College, okay? And then Del Mar College, it costs Del Mar 30% more in cost per student to get them to graduate than over the rest of the community colleges, okay? And then what we've got is we've got people preaching from Del Mar College that we're bursting at the seams with enrollment, which is not true, because if you look at the true statistics, Del Mar College has a 14% drop in enrollment over the past 4 years. And my question is, why is that happening, folks? Why isn't the Board of Regents questioning that? Why is the Del Mar College administration allowing that stuff to happen? And then what I had to do is trigger Channel 6 to come in when Mr. Bennett was going to be charged $26.7 million to look at Del Mar College accounting records, and they said it was going to take 120 years to pull up that 8 years worth of records. Now what is that all about? Okay. Then all of a sudden, after Mr. Spurl and Channel 6 came in and did the interviews with Mr. Bennett, and then they one of the bills they wrote off, or amounts that Del Mar College wrote off, said that Texas A&M Kingsville owed them $54,000 plus, and they just wrote it off. Kingsville said they didn't know anything about it. Okay, so what does it take when you're being bamboozled like that? And then Channel 6 comes in, and then I'll discuss my Public Information Act request here in just a moment. Okay. Now, if you take a look at the backlash due to that $26.7 million, okay, then there was an article written in the Corpus Christi Caller-Times, and I think this was one Nick Jimenez that did this, and it's very telling. He got real serious with him back in October the 5th, okay? So I just want to read one or two lines out of this, okay? It says, sometimes you just have to ask, what are they thinking? That is the question now about Del Mar College and its response to Ed Bennett's Public Information Act request. It says, Bennett is a candidate for the college's Board of Regents. He is running for an at-large position, one of 6 candidates for the job. Bennett is an accountant and a former officer of several corporations in the Dallas area. Being an accountant, he focuses on numbers, ledgers, and balance sheets, and so forth. Okay. Now, Mr. Jimenez went on, and he was putting down this and saying that $26,745,561.40, and then he says that's $27.7 million, and it would take 123 years to produce the required 105,565,614 records, and he says, yikes. At its worst, the response was bureaucratic arrogance. It was a brushing aside of a citizen's right to find out what government is doing with. The letter benefit received was in effect saying, "Go away, boy, you bother me." And that was from the old Warner Brothers cartoon, Foghorn Leghorn. That's what he used to tell the little chicken. He said, "Go away, boy, you bug me." Okay. All right. Now, so then we've looked up these records just for your edification. Okay. Now, if you take a look at the increase in students, you start with Texas Southmost. Their student population is down 60.10%. Frank Phillips, I'm not sure where that institution is down 18%. Galveston's down 9.40%. Coastal Bend College is down 8.5%. Del Mar College has lost 6.6%. Midland is down by 5.9%. So those, let's see, that's 6 of them are decrease in enrollment. Okay. Then with Lee College, they're up less than 1%. But Ranger College, wherever that one is, I'm not sure either. I need to look it up. They're up 108.8% increase. So Del Mar is losing students. And then, like I say, what is this being preached that we're bursting at the seams and our enrollment skyrocketing? Now, if you're losing 6.6% of your money in an investment, are you skyrocketing? Are you getting rich doing that? I don't think so. Okay. So anyway, and then there's another one here. We are not the highest population around. Now, these are statistics from a year or so ago with 11,230 students. We're down to under 11,000 now. And what's going on is they count in their total count that they're putting out, they meaning Del Mar College, to the public. They're counting the continuing education courses, dual credit classes with high schools, and so forth and so on. Now, as far as the tax rate goes, and this is from within the last year or two, okay? If you take a look, Navarro is the lowest, and then if you go up the scale, the third from the highest is Del Mar College, and then you've got Brazosport College, and then you've got Ranger College, okay? And the tax rates are out of sight, and they far exceed the Coastal Bend College and some of these others, okay? So those are hard, fast statistics. Then what we have is the debt per student. If you look at College of the Midland, you've got $147 per student is the debt. If you jump up, let's say, to the mid-range and let's see, Dallas County, it's $5,293 per student. That's quite a jump from $147. Del Mar College is $9,899 debt per student. And then it goes all the way up to Brazosport, which is $18,792. So when we've got a debt per student, folks, at $9,800, or it's actually $9,900, it's $98,899, then we're way up the scale for that. And my question is, why? And then if we do go with this bond election for $157 million, then it's going to skyrocket from there. Okay, it's going to be almost as bad as the Brazosport. Okay, so I'm just giving you an idea of what's going on around here. Now, another thing that's happened, and I need to talk about this because it's serious business, is I have said for at least a year now that there is a problem with allergens predominantly in the form of mold, spores, and products and so forth, in the Buddy Venner's business building, 3rd floor. Now, I've had several women that have come to me because they know that I have an idea what I'm doing with that, okay? After the many years in the research business, many of those years being with toxins produced by molds as well as bacteria and other critters, okay? I mean, that was my expertise all the way through graduate school. And in the research business after that, and then up until not too long ago. All right, now, I told the administration, and they said that I was crazy as a loon, that there were 3 very sick women over in that Buddy Venner's building on the 3rd floor. And I attributed that to the fact that I could walk into any of those rooms that were on a common air conditioning duct system and find little balls of fungal matter sitting on the tabletops. They blow out. Now here's what happens. If you take ductwork around here and you keep sucking in the air from the outside, which is a 10% to 15% recovery, that you have to have fresh air coming in mixing with your air conditioned air. That's by, I forget which law that is, but that's common sense. But what you do is over a period of time you suck in enough dust and dirt and nutrients to support fungal growth. And what happens is, in this part of the world, we are in a humid state that those ducts get pretty wet in there. So all the fungus needs to grow, a mold, in other words, is a little bit of nutrient in the form of all those dirt particles and stuff, plant material and stuff that are sucked in and settled in those ducts, and a little bit of water. And then fungal spores come in on the air, and they're going to germinate, and you're going to get fungal growth in the air conditioning ducts. That's a fact of life. So I've told them for a long time. Then I finally got mostly furious, and I told the president that he's going to get his butt suit off if he doesn't go over there and take care of the health and welfare of those 3 women. Now, students would go in to see the faculty members up there and the person running the lab, and they'd get choked up, start coughing and sneezing and so forth and so on, getting headaches. So their student health was affected. Nobody listened to me. Now, it's general perception at Del Mar College that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, okay? I can't, because I'm a Del Mar College employee, and Del Mar College faculty members don't know a damn thing about anything. That's the perception that Board of Regents has, the majority of them, plus the administration. You know, these people are teaching at a community college. They can't be real bright, and so forth and so on. That's the general perception of faculty members at Del Mar College. And then, since you're an employee, don't complain about anything. We're not obligated, even though it's in our policy, to take care of the health and welfare of the employees. Okay? Now, what I finally did is convince the president of the college to go over there and talk to these women. That was after, months-long battles and raising hell about everything. And he went over there, and I understand that when he was in that area, he got a little bit stuffy because I think he's got allergy problems. And then he asked the person who's in charge, the executive director of the human resources, to go over there. Well, she wouldn't go over there. She expected any of those 3 women to drop what they're doing in their daily grind, teaching students and getting students through college. And so she expected them to go over there, and they didn't. So then things got a little bit heated because of yours truly. And finally the woman went over there, and I understand she got a little bit plugged up when she was in the office of one of those 3 females that's having real severe allergic reactions to the mold that's in those vents, okay, in the air conditioning ducts. Now, they hired this company out of Beaumont, I think. It's called, I'll go ahead and spill the beans on it, All Points Environmental LLC, okay? They're asbestos consultants, industrial hygiene consultants, safety, indoor air quality, and training and environmental experts, okay? All wrapped into one. Now, it took me from September 4th until today to get a copy of that report. They run you around, they give you the business, they stall you out, you know, you got to do this, that, and the other, and so forth and so on before you can get public information. And I'm getting real weary of all that, so I'm going to start. I've already done it. I've already started jumping up and down with the Attorney General's office. Now, this past week, I was able to go over there and take a look at that report. It was like pulling teeth to get to look at it. So then I asked for a copy of it, and it took over a week to get a copy of this, and even though I had to pay for it. And they said, well, when you go over and pay your $12.40, because it was 124 pages of material I asked for, then we'll give it to you. Okay? Now, folks, I'm a taxpayer, and I try to abide by the Public Information Act request and the public open meetings policies and so forth, but it's tough to do. Now, this All Points Environmental LLC from Beaumont, I was correct on that one. Here's the bill for going over and, quote, testing the air, okay? It says mold survey and report is $1,390, okay? Now, this was the result of me over there raising hell and informing the administration and trying to keep them out of trouble that they're probably going to get their butts sued off if they don't take care of business over there, because those 3 women are in severe health risk. Okay. Then we also have the one of the safety officers at Del Mar College. And it says, I inspected room number 151 in the Venters building for possible microbial growth. With the office lights off, I used a high-intensity flashlight and closely looked at the walls and shelves for signs of microbial growth. I did not observe microbial growth on any of the vertical or horizontal surfaces. The temperature of the air supply and air return were within the acceptable range, including that the HVAC, that's the AC system, was working properly. I spoke with Rob Carpenter, and he is planning to install dehumidifying equipment in the HVAC system. This will allow more control of the air-conditioned air. Okay, I'm not going to mention who wrote that. Now, the people at Del Mar College are convinced that I personally don't know what in the hell I'm talking about. I'm just out raising Cain about anything and everything. Well, I've tried to convince them that my undergraduate degree, bachelor's degree, has majors of biology, and my primary major was chemistry. Okay? I found out, taking the biology classes, how clever microorganisms are in particular, so I said, you know, I would like to pursue a career in the production of microbial products. Okay? So I went in and I bit the bullet, and I had a double major at the master's degree level in microbiology and biochemistry. Predominantly the biochem was a strong suit. I took enough micro to know what I was doing. And the same thing with a PhD level. Now, my research efforts that I've used to work my way through the graduate program was the production of toxins produced by fungi, molds, and bacteria. Okay? Now, so I think I know what I'm doing. Then when I went on a postdoctoral position at one of the big research labs up in Peoria, Illinois, which was just happened to be the mecca of antibiotic research, and at the time also microbial toxins, then I spent my 2 years there, and then without being able to be hired because of Richard Milhous Nixon shut down government hiring, or I'd have stayed there and been at that lab, Then I went into private industry and mostly the antibiotic research business. But on the side, I did a lot of research projects with Purdue University, the Department of Pathology and Toxicology through the vet school at Purdue. Okay. Now, when I got to Del Mar College, after years in the pharmaceutical research business and so forth, then I was tracked down by several people when the quote mold heyday hit Corpus Christi, Texas. This is when people had mold in their house, and it was a scare and a fright and so forth. Now, just to educate Del Mar College, I spent 4 or 5 years with my own personal company. Aside from my duties at Del Mar College, I worked my butt off, okay? And it was called Sansing Laboratories. And what I did was I mold tested about 400 to 500 structures. And then some of them in Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Texas, okay? Now, I think I know what I'm doing if I'm getting paid premium price to go in and I've got my own environmental company testing air and mold in houses. Okay, so I've got that experience, folks. Now, at the end of the run, when it started to get less productive and less profitable to be in that business, okay, I was told by the great state of Texas that I needed to obtain 6 licenses to do what I already did on a routine basis. So I called the fellow that was in charge of that was going to be the licensing guru, and I said, sir, I said, what is it going to take? I'm going to send my resume up there and my transcripts. I've got a master's degree in micro and biochem. I've got a PhD with majors in micro and biochem. I said, what else do you need to know that I know what I'm doing? Well, if you'll send those up here, we're going to review those and see if that PhD in microbiology is equivalent to a bachelor's degree in biology. Now, I hated to tell him that I had one of those, but if a guy's that stupid and that ignorant about the degrees and so forth, there's nothing I need to say to him, and I'm not going to get involved with multi-million-dollar insurance policies that I have to buy for the state of Texas to make sure I don't screw up. Now, they went over and tested this building, okay, on August the 8th. That was after I was jumping up and down and raising hell. And they went in and took 13 air samples, 1 tape sample, and 1 bulk sample to establish qualitatively and quantitatively the types of molds, if any, that were present inside the building. And here's what they said. The analysis report was received on August 12, 2014. The air samples revealed that the inside concentrations of mold were lower than the outside concentrations in the areas tested. Now, were that mold spores? Were those the hyphal fragments? Was that mycelium? What are you talking about? This is one of the most childish and one of the most incomplete environmental air quality testing that I've ever seen in my life. Okay? Now, they didn't take tape samples of all that stuff that's laying all over the tabletops that blows out of those air vents, the air conditioning vents every day and at night and so forth. I've got those samples. I stained them up. They're fungal cells, little fungal balls, and I can tell you what genus those belong to. Okay? And there's some of them are severe allergens. So that's what I've done for the last 40 years, folks, since 1968. All right, so then they got this report with a whole bunch of fancy pictures of this little air sampler on a cart rolling around, and you suck so many liters of air into it, and it's got a sticky piece inside, and any of the fungal fragments, spores and so forth, dust and so forth will stick to that thing. You take that little sample out and microscopically evaluate it. Okay, so they go through all this garbage in here, and it's as far as I'm concerned, and sue me, All Points Environmental. This is one of the most sophomoric and useless air quality reports I've seen in my life. And like I say, I've written 400 or 500 of them. Okay. Now, what we've got is just a bunch of hooey, if you know what I'm talking about. And then there is a picture of above the ceiling tiles by one of the air conditioning vents, and it's full of dust, mold, and everything else. But that's of no consequence in this one. That's not what triggered those severe allergic reactions. Then they've got a stain on a ceiling tile in here and so forth. Then they've got a whole bunch of mess about where the samples were taken. And then there's a report that's signed by a gentleman by the name of, it looks like Richard Griffin, okay? And it's all these fungal spores and the numbers of spores and all these counts and stuff. And when I read the summary, some of this stuff doesn't make any sense at all to me, okay? So then they give a report of some of the critters that they found in there. That's textbook. There were misspellings in that and so forth and so on. Now, this Mr. James H. Griffin, he's an asbestos consultant and so forth. They do a lot of, this company does a lot of asbestos for Del Mar College. Okay? Now, let me read you his qualifications to be the president and the general manager and CEO and so forth of this environmental company. Okay? Education. He got Lamar University, Beaumont, Texas, an associate's degree in occupational safety and health in December of 1996. Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches, Texas, a bachelor's degree in chemistry in 1995. Nederland High School in Nederland, Texas. Okay? And he's the president, asbestos and mold consulting / instructor for All Points Environmental LLC. Okay? Now, here's a bachelor's. I've got a bachelor's degree in chemistry, folks, and another one in biology. Okay? But my expertise over the years has been the toxins that are produced by fungi, molds, and bacteria, and antibiotic production. Okay? So I've produced enough toxins to do the whole world under. Okay? And I know what I'm doing. I can take a sample. Now, this guy is reading these air samples and telling me how many spores of each organism has. Now, I spent a lot of time in microbiology classes. It's called mycology, okay? And the biochemistry of fungi and several other courses. And I know how to sit down and identify those. And I've worked with some of the best that have written the book on all these different types of molds, and I've worked with them. They're called taxonomists. Okay, so I don't know where he is fits in the consulting business, where he can sit down and look at a fungal sample and tell you what it is and how many spores are on that sticky stuff that he's done the air quality test. That takes usually a PhD in mycology to figure that out. Okay. So then it gives all these other things. But I just want to let you know, here's a guy that's signing off on all this stuff, and he's got a bachelor's degree in chemistry and an AAS degree in, what was that, the something another, in industrial hygiene or something, okay? And it gives him, and then here's another guy. His name is Armando Medina. He's got license number so-and-so from the Texas Department of State Health Services, and it expired back in 3/9/2013. I don't know if they realize that or not. Okay. No, wait a minute. He's got it up through January. Well, it was January of 2014 is the last one I see here. And here he is. He's over here taking air samples and so forth in August of 2014, and his license is out, it appears to be. Gosh, I didn't notice that the first time through. It's amazing what you can find when you look for it, okay? Now, in his training was the United States Army Paralegal Training, Human Resources Data Entry Clerk, Jack Britt High School student, wherever that was, okay? All right. And certifications in human resources and so forth. Here's his brother, Martin Medina, Okay, the last license I see him with is 2013. He's the one that took the air samples, I understand, over here. And let's see, what was his qualifications? Geez, I think it was a Robstown high school diploma. Okay, and these are the people that are taking samples and writing this stuff up. I mean, what is that all about? Okay, so please let me know what you think, and that these certificates go on forever. I mean, I know I didn't go to Orlando, Florida, and spend 3 or 4 days and become a physician and a psychiatrist and a psychologist and a brain surgeon and a mold expert. Okay, but I guess that's what happens if you go through that. So I just thought I'd share that with you. And then I've got a person who sent me a resume, and they were adjunct at Del Mar College for 6 or 7 years, and one of the departments did a stellar job. And then one day, I guess somebody got mad and just relieved her of duty. That shows you true dedication to what's going on over there. So, and then I can go on and on. I hope you go out and vote. I went over on I think it was earlier in October, the people that I thought were the best choices for you people. As far as Del Mar College goes, that's where my life begins and ends every day. Then I'm just saying, if you vote for an attorney by the name of Graham, I think it's Coretta Graham, and Ed Bennett, then I think we can get this thing back online. I would like to say that you know, there's several people in here that I do think a great deal of. Carlos Valdez is not one of them. Okay, he's County Court number 4. So I will hope you vote for Mark Werner on that one. As far as the Nueces County judge, I'm sick and tired of Judge Lloyd Neal. I've seen quite enough of him. So Mary Helen Berlanga, who's a real educator and attorney, needs to be in that position. Here's the judge for the 319th District Court. I've seen David Stith in action before. Judge Stith, he goes down and greets the people for the jury selection. He's tried his best to streamline that, so I think that he's one that I would vote for. I'm not going to comment on the 148th District Court. I'm not real fond of either Guy Williams or Augustine Rivera. I do know Rose Meza Harrison for 105th. I would, not be opposed to that one. And then I think Wesley Reed, Colonel Reed, is probably the best choice for our U.S. Congressional District 27. And I won't get into the rest of them, and I'm winding down with the time. So all I can say is, go and vote. It makes a big difference if you do know what you're doing. And then we need to clean that city council out, and we need to clean the incumbents with the Del Mar College Board of Regents. Because if you don't get rid of that real estate cartel down there at City Hall, folks, we're going to be paying through the nose for a long time. And then I'll get into some of the drought and so forth later, and what's going on with the road repairs. And if you really want to get burned up, to annex 16 square miles of ground out there to prevent a wind farm from going in, and then blame it on Navy interference with radar and so forth, which is a bunch of hogwash, if you know what I mean, then I wouldn't buy into that either. But that's your real estate cartel city council that's pulling your leg with that one. I've got about a minute and 4 seconds to go. I'm going to turn this camera off, and then I'm going to come back with some comments and the banner. Okay, I'm back, ladies and gentlemen, and I'd like to direct your attention to the fact that you can email me at gsansing@gmail.com. And I'm getting some good comments in. Some of them are rather salty, intimidating, and so forth, which doesn't bother me at all. I want to hear both sides of the story, and I know I don't please everybody at all times, and sometimes I make people uncomfortable and fearful. That's not my goal in life, but I guess if you can't stand the truth or whatever, I don't know what to do about it. And if you can't accept help, then I don't know what to do. You can go on YouTube and Google in or type in Gerald space Sansing, and you can pull up the shows. So I'm going to go ahead and let this thing run. Y'all have a good evening. Go out and vote, and I'll talk to you later.